What?
What is up, guys? My name is David Lee and I'm Asian with Hat.
I'm Tony Pat, known as Whisper with Aces and Eights.
And this is our review of the GBLS GDR-15 DOS. So GBLS makes some very interesting airsoft guns. They're probably one of the only airsoft companies I know of in Korea that actually, or the only company in Korea that makes airsoft guns. Wouldn't you say, Tony?
Yes, the only one that I know of.
Yeah, and then I used to think that Systema were made in Korea. No, it's actually made in Japan. So this is not an airsoft gun over here. This is a CAC, and I wanted to talk about this in a bit for comparisons from an AR-15 to an airsoft gun like this. This is actually a review. We're sponsored by GBLS. They gave us these airsoft guns for us to torture test, and we introduced these to a lot of individuals, especially in law enforcement. And I want to say, Tony, you've actually introduced us to some guys that are in the military.
Yes, in the military, and
pick it up for their own training purposes.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we have some people that have their own training companies that are using them too.
Right. Long story short, these are airsoft guns that have been given to us. We have not been paid for this, and our opinions will not be swayed by money for any of these airsoft guns right here on the table. That being said, our opinions are still going to be our opinions, and I just want to leave that out there so that way everyone understands. But I will definitely say this: if there's an airsoft gun that you want that is meant to be your training gun, I would definitely say that these are the gun to actually have for training purposes if you're wanting like the highest end of training. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I got, my Systema here. I've had it for years for training.
Yep.
This by far blows it away.
Yep.
I mean,
and I say the highest end because gas bullets, between you and me, when
yeah,
it comes to gas bullet rifles, there's a lot of problems with those.
Correct. You got your gas back. Like right now, we're in the cold right now. It's 24 degrees where we're at right now.
I bet you these gas bullets would have a lot more issues.
Oh yeah, we'd have they wouldn't work. They probably wouldn't function at all right now.
We're in the teens right now, and we're in this cabin over here. Thanks, Foulbore, for letting us use it. But long story short, these are very interesting airsoft guns to say the least. They're essentially a hybrid between the idea of a gas blowback and an AEG, an airsoft electric gun. But they definitely act way different from like a Marui, a V2, a Systema, and the idea that you actually have essentially a direct blowback housing. It's not a direct blowback housing in the essence that it's just a solid piece of metal that reciprocates based on gears. And the way I explain these airsoft guns is that it's essentially a bolt action gun that autococks. And that's the only way I can explain it well, because there is a sear. And I wouldn't say there's really a piston in essence.
No, I mean, yeah, because it's really not a piston. The piston's actually the whole bolt system.
Right. Right, but there's a spring that compresses through the system. There's a spring in here that it gets compressed, and then there's a sear that launches the spring forward to actually give pressure for the BB to eject. Right.
Correct.
You have your bolt. You have your bolt closed.
Closed.
Or you need to close your bolt. So, yeah. So there's the gears. And then this is essentially the bolt carrier group. There's really no bolt carrier group here because this does not move. So there's a spring over here, and then you can actually swap springs based on two screws over here in the back.
And it's simple and easy, guys. I mean, you can literally like 5 minutes and you have it switched.
Yeah. So let's talk about pros. So one thing I would definitely say is that everything when it comes to an airsoft gun, Tony, both you and I used 2 different platforms before we used a GDR-15. You like Systemas. I really like Marui's. And Tony, you want to show us your PT2 one more time? So one thing to be said, Systemas have been around since 2005.
Earlier than that.
Yeah, right.
Remember,
So
I've
it's
got
like-
some that are 2002s.
Yeah, so they've been around for quite some time. Made in Japan. These are both probably the highest end Japanese airsoft guns you can own. Now, that being said, mine, I want to say Marui's have been around since 2013 for the recoil shock. So the new generation recoil shock is what it's called.
But the company's been around the longest. That's the company that
it's
started
the-
Airsoft.
Well, I would say that there are older companies, but I would definitely say that they revolutionized the electric gun system in airsoft for sure. But what I liked about this is that you actually have a bolt that locks, not a bolt, but you have a bolt catch over here that actually gives a signification that, if I can find it today, that gives you the signification that the bolt is locked back. Therefore, all you have to do is just press this button, and then you can actually go on with your day. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is that both our guns have a lockout, but the way they do it is different. Ours have an electric system where there's barely any way of feedback. Like his especially has no feedback outside of the fact that you hear it.
Correct.
Mine has a little bit of recoil.
What he means by feedback, guys, is kick. It has no recoil.
Yeah, this has some recoil, but it's not as significant. I would definitely go on to say, and you shot my gun once or twice.
I played with it a couple times, yes.
Would you say that these have more recoil?
Yes. Like I said, trying every platform that I've ever played, and I've been doing Airsoft since over 20 years now.
And
I've had gas blowback. I've played with his Marui and my Sistema, which has no recoil. By far, for a gun to be the most realistic gun you can get on the market for training would be this gun right here.
Right. And we've only owned these airsoft guns since March 2021, and these are actually like evaluation airsoft guns that we get to keep. And these guns are used by special people and special entities. So our opinion is going to be a little bit different from a brand new airsoft gun from GBLS. But that being said, they run like crazy well. And the only problems that we've had, Tony, you would say is the same thing for like a gas blowback, is a double feed issue, right?
Yes, I mean I've only had one feed problem like that, and I didn't even know it because I chopped a BB in half and I kept playing with it. Did not realize it till I went home and cleaned the gun, and then I noticed that I chopped a BB.
So this one was under lubricated, and I was just shooting it until I had problems.
Which is, give me 1 second here on that. What we did here, guys, is he ran his gun dirty. I took mine and cleaned it all the time, so we could show what a clean, how it do clean and how it would do dirty.
Absolutely. Now that being said, I didn't get like extreme dirt or grime, but I'll definitely say this: when I loaned this gun out to my buddy in the summer, it was a Calvin Henderson.
Yep.
So he shot the gun, and then somehow he had a double feed, and the gun locked out. And I say locked out as in like it was going nuts. So I got the gun back, cleaned it out, and it was just essentially the same type of double feed you would expect from a gas blowback. And that's because the faux bolt over here will actually smash a BB and just chop it into pieces, and it will go around where the barrel is inside the hop unit. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm getting at is that that's probably one of the most major malfunctions you could actually ever get from these airsoft guns. Now, some other minute things that we've had, and we've actually had to send it off, and their service when it comes to like maintaining it, they will repair your gun for free. The only thing you have to do is ship it to them, and then they will ship it back to you, but you have to pay for the shipping, which is perfectly fine. That's generally how some manufacturers do.
Correct. I mean, and then again, their warranty is by far the greatest. I mean, no questions asked. They just fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, like mine, when we first got them, they were only shooting 300 FPS. And I played with it for over half a year like that. Still had no problem, great range and everything else. And then we sent them in to get them up to the FPS so we could do this review the proper way. So now we ran the rest of the year on a spring that's got us up to 400 FPS.
Yeah, so 1.5 joules essentially. And, over time, speaking of springs, did you really notice a difference at all when it came to using different springs where the sear would engage differently?
No, I didn't notice anything. And that's what a lot of people... and
that was the biggest complaint. Yeah,
and he showed it out a lot of times that it has a delay. What do you call this delay?
I forget what was the term, but essentially it just felt like the BB would exit before the gears would cycle.
And get the recoil.
It's essentially like sear launches, and then the gears start reacting or start turning, if that makes any sense to you. So essentially, like I said, it's an auto-cocking bolt action. That's the best way I can explain it. So that being said, the next thing I do want to mention too, though, is the hop-up unit. I am not a fan of...
Okay, this is on our cons.
Yeah, this is on our cons. So I am not a fan of using or dealing with a set screw. On our first time using the set screws for the hop-up unit, Sometimes with all the recoil we get from these GBLS guns, they will turn back enough or turn forward, whichever, to where the hop up will actually make the BB fly up. So you're basically over hopping on the BB instead of getting what you're wanting.
See, David had a problem with it. I didn't. Mine has been fine. The only thing I had a problem was loose screws, because this does have the recoil, has a bit of shock and slamming. I lost screws. So
yeah, same here. I have one set screw that I'm missing out of the gas block. You had to replace the set screws that were missing in your gas block. And then for me, I had, and this is probably operator error. We have a tool that we use. It's a massively long tool that we use to actually adjust the set screw. I most likely stripped the set screw that is in the hop-up unit. And that's pretty typical with small set screws when you're using an Allen key.
And it is kind of crazy, people, because to do your hop-up, you have to do this. You have to pull the bolt out so far, and it literally goes down a small through here.
And then most of the time, you actually have to pull the bolt
I've
out.
got it set up where you don't have. You can come like this and slide it right down here and adjust it. It is a pain in the butt, but it's not bad.
Right. Not a fan of it for me, but Tony, your experience?
I said I wanted to call it a con originally, but it's not. I've got it down to it because like I said, I've played with it every weekend. That I've got it down quick. It's easy. My cons were literally the stock. When we got it, we had that stock over there. But I've got the actual stock it comes with from PTW. PTS, not PTW.
PTS, yeah.
And so it's great.
For me, I actually prefer a crane stock just because I like soft mount stocks, quite honestly.
And I run this same stock in real life, so that's why I like that one.
Oh, you're talking about like these stocks?
Yeah, this stock,
yeah. And then these are super cool because you get it from PTS and you can fit 3 batteries essentially.
Yeah.
What you say?
Yeah,
and
but
these come with like the standard GBLS guns.
But since I played with it daily, when I did the review, I wanted to have the complete gun that they do the review on, not with the right stock. I wanted the right stock, everything on it.
And like back in the day, these were the ones that they would sell with the gun, not the PTS ones, if I remember right.
Correct. Yeah. So, now it comes with the PTS.
Yeah. And that was because he had that complaint. I was like, well, on the website, they show that they sell it with these stocks. So I loaned him my stock, and we traded the soft mount stock.
Yeah.
So I took the soft mount stock, you took the PTS stock, and you like this a lot more.
Correct.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's talk about trigger pull. That
was my other con. That was my other con. My 3 cons was that, the set screw, and the trigger pull. They're trying to say it's supposed to be the same trigger pull as a military weapon you'd grab right off the shelf. Well, we did this, tested it, we were at...
Actually, I think when I talked to Mike, they said that this was originally designed for NYPD.
Okay.
So their standards for NYPD is like somewhere along like 10 to 12 pounds.
And that's what these are.
The rest of the country is like shooting like this gun over here, like shoots like... Oh, whoops. This gun shoots like maybe 3.5, 4 pounds as a single stage trigger. Whereas these guns are shooting like atrociously hard. Like we had a scale over here and we got beyond 8 pounds. And I would say in the ballpark 10 to 12 pounds is the right number.
Correct. But playing with it, doing my training, because I do it. I'll sit there and do training and all that and my drills. But I did not notice it. Once the adrenaline goes, you don't notice the trigger pull. But if you're trying to do precise drills at the first, you kind of notice like, oh man, it's taking too long. But once that adrenaline kicks in and you start doing it, it goes away.
Sure.
And it's never caused me to miss a shot.
I'll definitely say though, because of these triggers being such a hard trigger to pull down, you can definitely notice that your trigger finger is getting a lot more worn down. Like I shoot on AR-15s all the time, like I say all the time, but like a couple times throughout the month, I don't get tired pulling the trigger on here, but on a GBLS, I feel a lot more exhausted. My trigger finger feels a lot more exhausted after shooting. I don't know.
Just because he doesn't get the good adrenaline run, that's all.
I guess. I would definitely say that the cyclic rate varies depending on how you have it lubed up. And then for me, talking to other buddies that shoot way faster than I do, they can actually make the BCG trip. Now to just mention, some other real-world shooters that we've actually introduced this to, you've shown it to a couple of your buddies, right?
Correct.
I introduced it, you showed it to Travis Haley too, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I showed it to, we actually showed it to Lucas, Mojo, who else at Copperhead?
Travis Haley was at Copperhead. Green Beret buddy.
I forget his name.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, that was one of
Haley's guys, yes. Yeah, and he loved it. They actually, Haley was, believe it or not, looking at it. He's got some ideas, which he's working with GBLS on, how they can do malfunctions. So you can still do the training with your malfunctions.
Sure, yeah.
Which is great. That'll be great. I mean...
one thing to mention too, I do have to say, magazines. So this is a standard M4 magazine or AR-15 magazine, whatever you want to call it. This is a standard GBLS magazine. Now, that being said, this is, I would say you can buy these for like $10.
Yeah.
So tell me how much these are.
Like $30, $34.
Yeah. So that's one big con for these magazines. But I also have to say that Airsoft, in a nutshell, magazines tend to be more expensive than AR-15 magazines. So I just wanted to mention that out there, that these are $30. AR-15 magazines can be found for like $10, $15. I do also have to mention that magazines are a little bit shorter. When it comes to our PTWs or your PTW and my Marui, they're actually the same height as an AR-15 magazine. And I want to say that was for training purposes,
Correct.
right? It was mainly for muscle Marui.
What they did is they just took old magazines and gutted them out and put the airsoft parts into them.
And then just dropped the top in?
Yep.
Okay, fair. But outside of that, that's like a very minute thing. I mean, if you come from like a V2 M4, then you would know that difference. All right, guys. So we want to also talk about some other pros. So we wanted to talk about video productions. So we wanted to bring on my buddy Cory from Siege Fan Film. He's the director over here. Come on up, Cory.
Yay. Yay. Thank you.
All right, hey Cory. So what's going on? So I just want to ask you, so you've been wanting to do video productions yourself ever since we did our video production on SCP Overlord, right?
Yes. Yep. That's right.
And we were actually both the main characters on Overlord. You were the guy that typed, and I was the guy that was Scepter 1-1 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
I lived a little bit longer, so I think
Didn't you die?
I'm more of a main character. I made it to the end.
Yeah,
So
no, he actually got to pull the trigger.
So no, yeah, that's kind of what kicked it off for me. I started wanting to work on my own productions, and then we ended up coming up with the idea for Siege after another thing we were working on fell through.
Yeah,
and
that was just
Which is getting released soon, guys.
yeah, so we're getting there.
No,
we're
it's
getting
the
close.
location
We're getting
situation,
close.
right?
But yeah, it was a location deal. But yeah, we used GBLS exclusively for the main operators in the film.
Mike contacted me, and both me and you were just discussing about like what we're gonna do for the video production, because you were like still in the middle of like what you wanted to do with the writing, right?
Yes.
And then I told you, hey, we can actually get some badass airsoft guns. And that was after Mike introduced himself at Guardian Center.
Yes.
So I think I got on a phone call with you like that same day saying, hey, we might actually have someone wanting to do this.
Yeah, so GBLS came on board. Mike showed up actually with the guns to make sure that everything was functional and operational throughout the shoot.
It was essentially our technical guy.
Yeah, and he had him sent off and custom painted based off of like old Rainbow Six game aesthetics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, the big draw to GBLS, once it was explained to me by David, is just the weapon manipulation itself is the same as a real rifle.
Right.
So
without
if you were
the gas problem.
Yeah, without any of the gas problems. And what's appealing about that, especially when you're working on productions, is you can do without the blanks. And whenever you're doing things in post, like adding muzzle flashes, shell ejections, stuff like that, the weapon is still functioning like a real weapon without any of the hazards.
Right, and you still get the action of the bolt cycling.
Yes, so your timing is already taken care of. You're not having to add the bolt cycling in post. It's worth its weight in gold for a video production, especially if you're
about
working
all the safety problems.
Yeah, without the safety
like,
problems.
especially when you see what happened with the whole Alec Baldwin situation.
Yes, yeah. So, once we got them on the ground and we were working with them, they're just phenomenal to work with. We had nothing break the entire time.
Yep.
They functioned perfectly the entire time. They looked great on camera the entire time.
Matter of fact, the CEO, we were just like, hey, can you fall back? And he's one of our extras being the bad guys, and he just falls and dies with his airsoft gun, a GBLS Block 2, like hard.
Yeah.
And we're looking, it's like, hey, is that gun still working? It's like, yeah. And I was like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, pulls the trigger and then throws it again on the ground. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, it has benefits for the actors too, because
they're super sturdy.
Well, that and it recoils.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to sell a fake recoil.
Yes, it is.
When you're trying to like pull it back into your shoulder and make it look real.
Right.
It's not as heavy as a real gun, obviously,
Right.
but you still get that recoil and you get the lockback. You get all those things that the actors themselves can respond to.
Right, absolutely.
And it comes through. Like I said, working on this in post, doing a lot of the VFX myself.
And you've done video productions after where
Yes.
you were actually working with blanks.
Yes,
And if you
yeah.
had to not deal with blanks because of city ordinance, you would take these.
Right. Well, I mean, in blanks, you have to reload.
Well,
you have to do all your safety checks.
He did take these because he did a small little one that he used these in.
Oh,
remember?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I totally forgot about the other one. We just put out one called The Hitters. It's just a little 4-minute short film. But we had these two guns that we used for it, and it's the exact same deal. I mean, you can just chop through VFX so fast because, like I said,
it's just two-dimensional. You're not dealing with, like,
you're not having to look to see if
right?
they're pulling, the trigger with their finger because you can see the bolt cycle. And so it's just putting the right things in place. They're amazing. Yeah, they're cool. They're cool guns. They work phenomenally well. I personally haven't played Airsoft with them, so I can't speak to that.
Yeah.
But as far as on the video production side, directing, doing VFX and post, acting with them, they're amazing. I don't know that there's another product out there on the market that can do everything that these do. Like I said, they're so easy to work with. There's when you're on a video production, there's places to plug in and get power from, and that's all you need.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you just need a battery, and you're good
the batteries
to go.
that we use also are just Titan powered batteries, and they last for, like, I would say, if on a good day, like 1,500 plus cycles. Right?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, mine they used it at Broken Home. I used it at Reindeer Games, and it was the same battery.
And we used the same battery like throughout the whole week, right?
Yeah.
Cory? Like,
For your protection, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't in charge of the props, so I don't know if they were taken out and plugged in.
I don't recall swapping.
I don't know,
at all.
but yeah, man, that's about all I can say about them. They did sponsor me, so I am a little bit biased, but it was a great product. It was, I wouldn't speak highly of it if it didn't work and it made my production harder, and it didn't, made it so easy.
Absolutely. And I would say that all the actors, and I say actors, but a lot of the people that were messing with them, even the main characters, they all love the Airsoft guns, and there are a good chunk of them were Airsofters too, weren't they?
Yeah.
And it was like what was it? The medic. I just forgot his name.
Jessen. Yep.
Jason.
Jason.
Close enough.
It starts with a J.
And again, he does a lot of instruction too. He works in that space, and
he loves doing tac.
Yes, everybody was really, really impressed with him. The actors thought they were the coolest thing ever, and then people that, like I said, work in that tactical space they definitely see the I guess, I don't know what you would say, the benefit of working with these.
That's what I was going to ask you. Since you've got, I'm not going to say what else you do, but now would you see that also working in that?
Yeah, so I do work in law enforcement, and I've tried to sell them on the idea of Airsoft before. This product didn't exist then.
Correct.
But it's come to a place where sim rounds are so hard to get and so expensive now.
I mean, they're more expensive than regular ammo.
When you've got to put, like, my department is 1,000 plus. When you've got to put 1,000 plus people through training, and it's $2 a round plus.
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, because I'm a UTM instructor and certified instructor.
Yeah.
I don't even carry that extra. It's expensive.
Yeah.
What is it, like $1 a round back?
No,
it's like
it's like $1.50, $1.75 a round right now.
Yeah, they're expensive, but I could definitely see the benefit and of having this. Airsoft BBs are cheap, batteries are cheap.
Yeah.
And you could actually put them through a course of fire with 30 rounds instead of what they normally give us, which is 2 or 3.
Right, which is actually another portion we're going to talk about. So, Cory, is there any last portions you want to talk about? Maybe you want to do a mention for Siege Fan Film and your Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram's Tacticool Dork. All my video production
Tacticool
stuff.
Dork.
Yeah, spelled cool, COLL.
Yeah.
COOL.
And the YouTube?
But and my YouTube is also Tacticool Dork.
Yeah,
that's
links will be
where
in the description
Siege
down
Fan
below.
Film's going to come out. We just put out The Hitters. It's a cool little action experimental film that we shot without a script, without a budget.
Which is going on
without a
YouTube
shot
when?
list. Tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to put it up on YouTube tomorrow, which is probably already out by the time this video comes out.
Absolutely.
But no, we like I said, I've used these for 2 productions. Absolutely, they're great. If you're into stuff like that, definitely check out my channels, and we're going to do more things in the future. So.
And he'll get to use these whenever he wants to, and he knows that.
Yeah. Well, Cory, thank you very much for showing up.
Thanks for having me.
Cory.
Yep.
And thanks for helping us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's talk about some other things like the benefits of these Airsoft guns versus firearms. Now, I'm going to just tell you right now, you don't need to buy the most expensive Airsoft guns in the world to actually have a good training platform. That being
Correct.
said, you look at the price of BBs.
Correct. I mean, like what he's trying to get at, guys, you don't have to have this one or my Sistema or his TM.
Murray.
You can still do it with a lower end gun, but if you want the most realistic, you're going to pay the money for it. And that's what I always say, David, you pay for what you get, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the price of ammo right now, like I shoot steel right now, and I set aside my brass, and I have like, I don't know, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 rounds of brass, and then I have like another 2,000 of steel. Steel right now is sitting around ballpark 35 to 40 cents a round. That's essentially the same price as like 2 or 3 years ago, where brass was sitting around 35 to 40 cents a round.
Correct.
Brass right now is sitting at 60 cents a round. 62 grain green tip, sitting more around
75
80
to 80,
$1.
yeah.
Like that's okay. I'll preface this: don't use green tip for training, please.
Correct. Yes.
But
a lot of people, especially if you're going to ranges that they don't like you shooting their steel with it.
Yeah. So what we're trying to get at is that ball ammo is expensive. It's 60 cents for brass, and then steel case ammo is 35 cents a round. That is still atrociously expensive compared to 2 years ago, where I could buy steel case ammo for like 20 cents a round, and brass not 55 grain ball ammo for like 35, 40 cents a round, right?
Yeah.
So how much is 5,000 rounds of BBs?
You're roughly, depending what weight you go with, anywhere from about $25 to about $35.
Right. And that's during Corona prices.
Yes, and that's, and BBs have weights. They have gram weights. So you have a 2.0, 2.5, 2.8, a 3.2,
right,
all the way up to like 4.8 right now.
Right. What we're trying to get is that you can still do training in the backyard with these airsoft guns and not travel 40 minutes, an hour, 3 hours for some people.
Police called on you because you're shooting a gun in the backyard. Because
I don't know.
These don't make real noises. I mean, so
it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. But I mean, some people shooting a real gun in the backyard. Yeah, you're gonna get in trouble. This you can use in your backyard, in your garage, believe it or not.
Yep.
And be fine.
And be safe. And you still get some of the training function. I've dry fired in my bedroom with these airsoft guns, just doing speed reloads, just trying to figure out the function of the gun, and sometimes without even the mags in, just trying to get the feel of the gun and still do all my weapon manipulation on the.
I mean, because guys, realistically, this is a 99% realistic. I mean, there's a real one. There it is. I mean, it's length, weight.
Absolutely. Here, let's prop that up. So. Yeah, pretty much everything that you can imagine, pretty close. I mean, a lot of airsoft guns are pretty close, but I would definitely say the function to these airsoft guns are pretty similar to like even this AR-15.
Real EOTech, real sights. I mean, real stuff on it. I got a bad lever on this one, being silly and all that.
Yeah.
Airsoft guns will take your real stuff.
Right.
So with that being said, it's the greatest training platform out there right now that I think personally.
Absolutely.
With my PTWs, all the different guns I've got, you can't beat this one.
Regardless of what we're talking about when it comes to like the cons, I would definitely say a lot of the pros outweigh the cons. And I'd still use these as my main airsoft guns, not because they gave it to us, but because I actually believe that these are very good platforms to use for actually getting a repetition.
Yeah, like I can always say, does this outshoot my Sistema right now? No. But this is all
a decent amount.
Yeah, but I said it doesn't outshoot my Sistema. My Sistema is upgraded where this is stock,
right,
and it shoot close to it. And I think if I was to put a different barrel in this, I'd probably get the distance.
Use AG barrels if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's still really good that you can actually use an AG barrel versus a Sistema barrel. Those are expensive.
Yes, exactly. I said, and I'm going to have this upgraded, the barrel, to try it and see what it does.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm just going to keep mine. I generally shoot about 50, 75 yards. I don't worry about 100 yards. But that being said, you can definitely push the limits with these airsoft guns, especially if you try and push 3.2s. 3.2s, they love 3.2s. I just shoot 2.8s.
Yeah, 3.0s and 3.2s they love. They like 3.8 or 2.8s. Don't quite get as far, but they do like them, which is I shoot most 2.8s because I shoot it in my other guns.
Yeah.
We played with some 3.2s and 3.0s, and those are like the premier BB that they love. They get the best distance and the best punch for it.
Whereas like my Maruian Sistema, they just don't care. They just they take any BB, 3.2, 2.8s, 3.0s.
Again, any gun will take any BB, guys, but these, what we buy, premier, they seem to get the best performance out of it at that grade of BB.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see.
Well, I want to cover real quick, David.
Yep.
This is one of my GBLS mags here.
Yep.
The loading is a little different. It's not like you just get a regular one. Like this is you get it here. Pull off. Why can't I get it off, David?
You have this.
That in. That's why
you need to open.
This is an Odom loader. Yep. All right. Normally you just take your mag and Odom loader and you go. Well, the GBLS you can't.
It's like a gas blowback.
Yes, they have a special. The front's different. It loads different. When you buy the gun, they give you this little thing here, which is pretty cool.
But you can also lose it.
Yes, you can lose it, but
it's also portable.
Portable, so you can stick it on. You get a hand loader, put it on there, which I've mounted this one before.
But the only problem with those is that they require a lot of hand feeding, and you only have a limited amount that you can actually load, and it's a lot more. It takes a lot longer with those versus a or normal speed loader that we use.
And then David found these from, where did you get these at?
I found them overseas. Someone 3D printed them.
Right.
I want to say they sell for like $40 to $60 right now.
Company here in the United States, Stampede Airsoft, is making them.
They're going to be coming out with those soon.
But I mean, it goes in here, and it's a lot easier to load with your Odom loader.
Yep.
So just know that, guys. You just can't grab one and grab a regular loader and load it up. It takes.
By the way, don't do it this way. It's actually
that way. I was just
showing
just
demonstration purposes.
Yeah, but so think of that when you load it, guys. It's different special mag. You just can't use any airsoft mag in this.
Yeah. Yeah. But that being said, there is a new mechanism that's coming out.
Correct.
Gypsy found it, and
Yes.
I was bemused. I say bemused. I was actually kind of amazed and also annoyed that you can actually use an AG mag in these guns, but you don't get bolt lockout.
Correct.
But that being said, these only have 60 rounds. The polymer magazines, on the other hand, have 90 rounds. Now, I'm gonna say this: when you shoot in airsoft, you're not gonna shoot as much as you would at the range. Like we consciously have in our mind like how much we need to shoot per target.
Right. I mean, I've gone out, prime example, him. When I first went out with him, went out shooting, he goes, Tony, come out shoot with me.
I'd shoot like 400 rounds plus.
Well, if not more. So, I mean, and I'm going out, he goes, how many rounds you bring? I go, I brought 100 from my rifle and 100 from my pistol. He goes, why? And then I showed him, because I've done that for so many years, I've shot for so many years, that I go out and do drills now. And I've got him doing the same thing. It's like,
Absolutely.
all right, because anybody can shoot.
Yeah.
But it's getting precise,
Right.
precision,
We're
everything
just
else in
trying
your
to
drills.
isolate, like your drills.
Yes, your function. So, I mean,
Right.
eye-hand coordination,
And
mag changes.
That's also one thing I wanted to mention is that we grabbed this gun and this gun. Actually, you use this one. I used my AR-15, and then I used my GBLS. And we actually did the same drills at the range, and you can see the B-roll here.
Execute.
Yep.
Execute. Ready?
Yep.
Execute. You're faster with your ready?
Yep.
Execute. Execute.
So, long story short, you can do the same function of these at minimum 7 yards, no problem. Now, the recoil control is going to be a lot more different just because this is a lot more, this actually has a lot more things
Kick
going
to
on,
it.
a lot more kick.
What,
it's a lot more
again,
volatile.
Well, yeah, again, you got actual powder going off
Yep.
and actually kicking it back, where here we don't, we have an actual
We just have an
mechanism.
actual cycling rate.
Correct.
Where this one's you can feel the compression going on, not as fast. This one, you can feel the immediate punch back into your shoulder, depending on how your gun is gassed. By the way, CAC, amazing at gas setups. Anyways, so what I'm trying to get at is that you can get the same type of training without having to spend so much money on ammo just for doing essential stuff like just working on principal shooting with like one-ups, speed reloads, without having to spend money.
Yeah, and like you said, if you get down to money-wise, because the price of ammo and all that,
Absolutely.
the money you would save on ammo, you can buy this and then justify it.
Yeah, I would say that throughout this year, I wouldn't say my budget has been like 5%. So I probably spend about $4,000 in ammo a year currently. And that's pretty expensive right now.
Yeah, you've done a little more shooting than I have this
Right,
year.
absolutely.
And I have a bunch of, I've been getting back into my long distance shooting, which
Right.
I have a bunch of that ammo stocked
Right.
up. So yeah.
Yeah, and I stocked up quite a bit. So what I'm trying to get is that, for $4,000 of ammo that you spend a year, you could, a lot from that budget of ammo, buy a good airsoft gun, train with it, and you don't have to buy these. I'm just telling you that these are probably the cream of the crop for training.
Correct, they are. They are by far the best one. But also what we're trying to get at is you can sit in your backyard and do it. You don't have to worry about getting to the range.
Mm-hmm.
And your fundamentals, you can do on this, in your backyard, in your house, whatever, and then go out to the range and only have to run
Right.
300-400 rounds or a couple hundred rounds and be done.
And I have a couple of buddies that they'll use their own airsoft guns, work on muscle memory, and then come to the range. I don't do that much muscle memory training anymore, outside of like a little bit of GBLS, but that's like when I have time. I haven't had time because I've been dealing with video productions. I still come out here because all the muscle memory I've had over the years, I can still function with an AR-15 almost like I'm running an airsoft gun, just because I've gotten down the muscle memory so well.
Which is funny, little story, because when I met this kid, he was only, 18? He just graduated high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, just graduated high school because it's
Yeah, I was like
2013.
18 or 19, yeah.
So he just graduated high school, and he's talked to me because he found out what I did for the government before I retired and all that. And we're sitting there talking. He's like, "Oh, well, I won't know how to shoot guns." This, I go, "David, it's the same way as you're playing with your airsoft gun." He said, "What do you mean?" I go, "The same fundamental drills, everything you're doing, muscle memory is the same." And he didn't believe it until he goes out and shoots, and he's like, "Oh, wow, I know exactly what you're talking about now. It's the exact. You hold the gun the same way, you change the mag the same way.
Yeah.
Everything's
I think
the same."
The biggest thing is that for me, I got into a lot of training scars, and I say training scars as in like, you can't really do a lot of airsoft skirmishes as training because you can actually build up a lot of training scars from it because
Which
the
he
things
means
that you do in
habits, bad habits.
So there's a lot of things that you can do in airsoft that will translate poorly into what you do in firearm stuff. So the way I shoot with airsoft guns is a lot more similar to what I do in firearms. But when I was younger, I shot a lot more differently. I shot until
He shot a lot more. Period.
Yeah, I shot like, I would say in 1 hour, like 400 rounds in an hour.
Yeah.
Like in an airsoft gun. So
And now he's down. I mean, we go to an event. I
pick
run
my
a saw
shots.
at an event, so I shoot a lot more. He's like if he shoots a half a bottle, so he's like if he shoots 12, 1,400
even
rounds
shoot
in a
half a
weekend.
bottle.
Yeah, I'm saying in a week, an entire weekend.
Yeah.
So we're talking 2 days of almost eight hours one day and 4 hours the next. So
Absolutely.
within 12 hours.
I like to pick my shots. And that comes back to the same thing as like with AR-15s. You only have, let's just say 7 mags. That's like 7 times 3, 210 rounds on your person. And then maybe you have the capability of actually keeping your truck with you and having more mags. You only have 200 rounds and then you still have to get to your truck. So you don't have the capability of just shooting as much as you can, realistically. But what I'm trying to get at is that you had to pick your shots and you had to make sure that you know what you're shooting at.
Like David first met me, he didn't believe it. I ran 30 round mags. That's all I ran. I used to shoot 30 round mags.
I've
He's
seen the
like, what are you
collection.
doing that? He's like,
No,
oh,
I've seen the mags where you can actually speed load. It's like 30 rounds. So all I'm getting at is that you can get almost the same type of setup, whether it's a GBLS, a Marui, any of those, and use it for training for muscle memory, especially muscle memory. Okay, so Tony, is there any other pros you want to mention over here?
Dude, I think we've covered everything. I mean, another thing, you could put anything, real sights, any real sights or optics, whatever you want.
You can actually swap the charging handle on here and put it on this one.
Okay, see, there's another one. So you can take a real one off and swap it out. So, I mean, you can't beat it. For the price, you can't beat it. And it's not because these guys, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt just because they gave us these guns and we get to keep them. Nope. All the stuff I've trained over 30 years with the government, and this by far has been the best one. I've been excited since the day he got it for me. I've been excited as hell.
Yep. Let's talk about some setups over here. So Tony, how's your gun set up?
Mine's set up just kind of like my real one. I run my sight almost dead center because
lower thirds. You prefer lower thirds, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then because if I want to throw my night vision behind it, I can, or if I want to throw a magnifier behind, I can, like you've got on some of yours.
Yep.
I always like my grip. I love a bad lever. The bad lever, I'll tell you guys right now, doesn't work as well on here. I don't get my lockout because the weight of it is keeping it, so I can't use it. They said I can file it down and get it, but no biggie. It still does everything I want. It holds my Viking tactical sling on there, so it's everything I want. I mean, I can't beat it.
And then the iron sights, do you actually have your iron sights zeroed?
Yes, these are zeroed, so I can actually use these sights. So if it went down, I can actually use them.
And are those the sights that come with the gun?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll mention mine. So this is a knockoff empty can.
Oh, just like mine is knockoff.
Right. So this is just a not a Knight's Armament can. Huh. Anyway, so right. I have a knockoff Surefire light over here just because. Oh yeah, it's no battery in here.
No battery. But guys, also know something else when he says knockoff. On some of this stuff that's knockoff, it works on a real steel. We've tested it and played with it on a real steel. So don't think.
Yeah. So this is just a knockoff. I want to say this is an Element light. Then this is an Emissary handbrake. What's your grip over there? Is that a Strike Industries? I can't remember what was the brand.
Look at that little M on there.
Well, that's just the M-Lock, but what's the brand?
This was Midwest.
Midwest?
Yeah,
Okay.
Midwest.
Midwest, okay, cool. And then we also use Sosa optics over here. So,
correct.
Sosa red dots, we like them. They shoot, they work really well. We use them in the day, and we also use them at night.
And the nice thing about we went to them and used them is the fact that they're a warranty system.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can use it for airsoft to get it broke, they instantly replace it without no question.
And they're also owned by CMC, and CMC has a decent reputation
and
behind their triggers. So I would definitely say that you can use these on airsoft guns, and you're less likely to actually have these red dots shatter. And if they do shatter, they'll warranty it. And I've used these on my AR-15s, no problems at all.
Yes.
Let's see. As far as stock wise, I use essentially a airsoft version of a stop moss stock, and I have my batteries put into the battery portion of the stock. Again, these are Titan batteries that we use. We're using the 11-1 3000 watt now. It's not 2600.
And I use the PTW stock.
Yep. Or PTS stock.
PTS. What do I say? My PTW's right there.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting confused with my actual gun.
So again, these are really good batteries. We recommend it. I want to say it's even in the manual that you are recommended to use Titan batteries. Yeah. So we're sponsored by Titan. but we still say that Titan batteries are really good. And again, we can get more than 1,500 rounds out of these batteries.
Yes.
I use any sling right now. LVX, Faro, Viking Tactics.
I'm picky.
Vickers.
I only use Viking tactical slings.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, they work fine for me. Actually, this is actually my original Viking Tactics sling. So again, any sling, and I would definitely say one thing to mention on here is that you don't find these often on GD setups, but this actually locks up on the rail.
Yes. Yeah.
And like some of these rails out there, they will just spin. I want to say some of the QDs like that you import from like my cousins in China, they will actually spin. Yeah. So they actually try and meet a standard, and I forget the standards. It's not a mil-spec standard.
No.
But it's a standard that everyone has agreed to, that they use the specs, and now you can actually have a QD mount that doesn't spin, whereas this portion, I want to say, spins. So that's the one thing I wanted to mention. I also use over here, I use laser boxes. I also have cameras. My Block 2 actually has the camera right now. And that's just,
SOSA sight?
SOSA sight as well. So yeah, cameras over here, and then I'll also use a laser over here. So it would be like one of these Zenico Somo Gear purse, throw it on here, no issues. And again, there's not that much recoil to actually deal with, so you can almost use any laser. Actually, I take that back. You may get away with a lot of the higher end airsoft lasers on here and have no issues. That being said, Somo Gear, Zenico lasers, or like full power PEX, I've used it on here before, no issues at all, just because they can take the recoil. So lasers, and on the front end, I don't use irons because I got into a lot of a higher mount setup. So I use 226 as my height, and I actually prefer it over lower thirds because I hate having to crunch down on my cheek to actually get a sight.
Which is what he said he was buying me for Christmas, a couple of these.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tony. I don't know.
Well, I already got my suppressor over here.
No, it's not yours. You need to go pay your tax, Tony, if you're going to do that. This is my suppressor, Tony.
You're my kid. Everybody says you're my son, so what's yours is mine, what's mine is mine.
Trust if you want it. Okay, guys. I think that's pretty much going to wrap up on here for the GBLS. We've talked quite a bit, but I'll definitely say this again. These are airsoft guns that I would definitely take with me as my main squeeze for airsoft. These are guns that I prefer to use, even if there are some of the hiccups with them. Regardless of some of the small hiccups, I would use them next to my Maruis or even my reliable Crytacs.
And like I said, for me, I'll use it. I do use it all the time, believe it or not. One day I'll use the Sistema, the next day I use the GBLS. I bounce back and forth. I run my saw most of the time at the big events. And for training, like I said, David knows me. I like to train all the time. So I'll sit at my house and I'll sit there and play with it. You can't beat this inside the house. I can't get in trouble by the law enforcement because it's technically, legally, a toy. Yeah. So, but it's a great training platform.
Yeah. All right, guys. My name's David Lee, and I'm Asian with Hat.
I'm Tony Patton Whisperer with Aces and Eights.
And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys.